Hey guys, welcome to the Seeds to Healing podcast. We're talking about mental health and giving tips and tricks and adding a Christian perspective. I'm Allie.
I'm Ayannah. We're so excited that you're here listening to this week's episode. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to yet another episode. It's the both of us this time.
Yay!
Hey. Allie, today's topic, friends, is self-care. So, Allie, how is your self-care?
Terrible. No, okay. I should probably stop confessing that because it's not completely accurate, but it's not completely a lie either. It is ever evolving and could definitely be better at times, and I could be because I would need to be more consistent with it.
Yeah.
But it's been a work in progress for sure, because your girl was not taking care of herself.
Yeah.
At all. But what about you?
I would say the same, if not non-existent. I used to be really good at like journaling every day or taking like time out to watch my favorite show or just kind of like take a minute by myself to relax or recuperate. And then the stresses and the busyness of life kicked in and it just melted away, that little time block. But I'm working on it, so it's doing a little bit better. It looks different now than before, but it's all good. It's exciting.
I think that's really vital what you just said. You said it looks different than it did before. I think
Yeah.
that's very important.
Yes. Yes. It's so important because I just think that self-care, especially like as we get older, like when we're in high school, self-care is like um taking care of ourselves. It's like, what do they call them? The like everything shower. Like I mean
Not the everything shower.
the deep conditioner of the hair, it's the face masks, it's the like painting our nails and doing all of these things. And as we get older, one, we don't necessarily have that time on a consistent basis. Not to say that those things don't happen, but they're usually like in high school, we could do that like once a week, twice a week, if you're bougie. And now it's like, okay, maybe I can do that thing every other week, maybe once a month, you know what I mean? Like, so, and cost efficiency too. So like some people think that getting their nails done is their self-care time, which works, but depending on the person you go to, that could be a pricey penny. So that's only going to get your nails done once a month, which means that you're only having self-care once a month, which isn't realistically what we need as humans to kind of rebalance.
Yeah. And I think the other reason that, just being mindful to the activities that you do as your form of self-care is important, like you said. And I think the reason that I pointed out your statement is because it does evolve, it does change. And I think that this narrative of like, oh, self-love, self-care is very misunderstood in today's society. And I think because it's ever evolving, that it's getting misconstrued, I feel, from what I'm observing. I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel about that? And how would you define self-care?
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like self-care is this like blown out of the proportion thing that like only like if you ask certain people, I feel like people think they're too busy for it and like self-care is only what like rich people do or like stay-at-home moms who have no kids or something like that. You know, like the very fancy elite people get self-care and everybody else just has to dwindle because they're not at a point where they can take the time to do self-care, which I think misses the whole mark, like you were saying. So I have the definition here. Let me pull it up.
I love when she goes to the dictionary, y'all. Miss
So,
Webster.
period. Self-care, according to the National Institute of Health, is taking time to do things that help you live well and improve your both physical health and mental health. I think that's important to know because it's not just physical health. So, it's also mental health. Uh, and that could look like, but I think the great thing about self-care is that it's not a small bubble. Like it's this very large, vast, and personalized thing. So
Yep.
what works for me may not work for Allie, may not work for Susie, may not work for Joe. Like
Hmm.
Joe's self-care and what helps him mentally and physically could be going to the gym in the morning and at night. I'm
Hmm.
not going to the gym twice. Okay.
I'm not going once, if we're being honest.
I'm just saying. So
Side
like,
note.
you know, but that could be his thing. And for some people, the gym brings a lot of anxiety. So to say that self-care is the
Yeah.
gym, for you
Mhm.
it can be, but it's not for everybody. So allowing people the idea of like um practicing it. And I think that's the important key is practicing self-care because sometimes we'll do it once and we're like, oh, I didn't feel any of the benefits and like throw
Mhm.
it out. So I
Mhm.
feel like we have to pick something and try it for a couple of weeks and then we judge. Like, okay, I'm gonna journal every other day for a month and see how I feel. You get to the month and you love it or you hate it. Okay, so let's try something else. I'm gonna go for a walk every morning for 30 minutes every day. And you do it for 2 weeks and you love it and you feel like you're clear, you can start your day, you feel balanced, at rest. So I think it's just allowing you to one, practice it, not throw it out so early, and something that is good for you both mentally, physically, and spiritually, I would have to add.
Yes, and I think one part that I would add is understanding, just paying attention to what you need, right? You don't always need 30 minutes of a walk in the morning. Like it may be, okay, I'm gonna sip some coffee and
Mm,
I'm just gonna be mindful of where my mood's at today. And, if we're talking about mental, like checking in with where's my energy at, physical, what's my body feel like,
right.
spiritual, am I connecting with God? Because I know for me personally, if I don't connect with God, whether through worship or reading my Bible or doing a devotional, I'm automatically already kind of off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so but also it's understanding that may, because I don't get into it every day. Like it's some form of it, right? But it's not an everyday thing. And so I have to make sure to be intentional with that. So being, like you said, being intentional with what you choose to do, when you choose to do it, and really first and foremost, like checking in with yourself
Yeah.
and doing like a scan of where am I at right now?
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like I'm go go go, and like for example for today, like I knew today was going to be a really long day, right? And so what I did on my lunch break or in between my sessions was I walked outside
Mhm.
because I was like, one, I'm freezing, two, I just need the sun. And I would walk outside and kind of just spend some time in the warm air, warmth of, you know our weather. I don't know why words are hard for me right now, but uh, and it kind of reset me and it helped me get through the rest of my evening. So
Yeah.
that's just how I think about it. That it
No,
doesn't have to be, it's not always so structured, and it can ebb and flow with your day and with your week.
I think that's why it's also so intimidating, the idea of like we have to be consistent with it and we have to has to be on the schedule and it has to fit into the routine. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it is those longer chunks and sometimes it's just the 3 minutes it takes us to drink our coffee outside to really check in and kind of center ourselves and take a deep breath and see where we're at. Um it's the journaling, it's the prayer time, it's the going to the gym, it's the drive to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times because of how bad traffic is, at least in California,
Oh
we
no, it's bad over here.
uh,
Is California 2.0 is what
period.
I say.
So we all spend a lot of time in
Yeah.
the car. So even like transporting, I'm in work mode.
Teleporting. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
going from point A to point B, that ride, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, could be your check-in.
Mm-hmm.
How are we checking in with ourselves? How are we checking in with God? How are we checking in with our physical health? What are we doing to making sure that we're okay? So like also using that time, I think sometimes we just have to be more aware of how we could utilize what we're already doing. Like the idea, especially for people who are like busybodies, have a lot going on, where like another thing to add to my schedule. Like now I have
Mm-hmm.
to walk or now I have to take 5 minutes and be conscious and like where can you plug it into time that you're already using? What are
Yep.
you doing in the car? Listening to music, listening to a podcast. Great. How about 5 minutes before you start the podcast? You just check in. Where am I at? How am I feeling? What do I have to do today? All right, let's take a
Mhm.
deep breath and conquer the day. Say a prayer, whatever that looks like. I think it's less about fitting it into our routine and using our routine to like make it flow, you know?
Yeah. I think it's just, it's about being intentional in taking care of, your mind, your soul, and your body. And it doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing. It's really just giving yourself a moment to be mindful, not mind filled
Yeah.
with where you're at. And for me, it's something as simple as like, how are you feeling today? All right, you're feeling good. All right, so here we go. Or maybe we need to slow it down today, or maybe we need
Right.
to, at the end of the week, I've even done that before. Like I know what my week looks like because I am a planner. And
Yeah.
so I'll be like, okay, Saturday is a do nothing day. And
Mm,
well, we can maybe get into that too, like where we fall short. But like for me, it's hard to do nothing. It's hard to say no to plans, but sometimes it's needed because
hmm
you need to rest. It's
hmm
it's biblical. I was literally just studying that
Yeah.
last week,
Yeah.
the importance of the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
Like God said, and something he revealed to me was like when he created the world, he worked for 6 days and
Mm,
had one day of rest. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, this whole time I'm thinking I work really hard for 5 days and give myself 2 days of rest. And I
mm,
couldn't even do that. But for some reason, it was helpful for me to know that like you can give yourself some grace and, be busy 6 days out of the week, but at least make time for one day where you do nothing or
mhm.
one day where you rest, whether that's Saturday or Sunday or Friday or Monday, whatever your off day is. And that was really helpful for me because I'm so busy all the time and I like to jam pack my schedules that it was helpful to know that all he asks is that we give, time to him. And if it be nothing but one day,
Right.
and it's because we need it.
Right. I agree. It's a lot less about like I think it's just a lot less of like having to make time of it. I think when we shift our perspective and like this is something that we need
Hmm.
to feel like we can accomplish what we set out to accomplish. And I think when we think about it that way, it helps a lot. And I think another thing that I wanted to add that when you were talking, this popped into my brain, just the sense of like, it's okay still to have the big self-care things.
Hmm.
You can set one day a month and look forward to that one day a month. We're just saying that maybe that shouldn't be your only form, right?
Yes.
Like plan the spa night by yourself, plan for the bubble bath and reading a book. Uh, I so badly want to go to one of those head spas, the scalp
What
spa.
is that?
You haven't seen them on TikTok? Okay,
No. Girl, you be going down the rabbit hole of TikTok.
there's these spas that like are for your scalp and they go in, they look at your scalp and they give you it's like an hour long. It's like a scalp treatment. They wash your hair, they give you a head
Oh,
massage. I'll send you a TikTok on it.
yes, please do.
It looks so, I'm like, I want to do that so bad. And that for me would be self-care because I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
It'd be so relaxing, but that's not something I can do every day. I can't go to this place and do an hour every
Hmm.
day. But this
Hmm.
is something that I can do once a month or once every other month and look forward to it while taking the baby steps in the in between.
Hmm. And one thing that popped into my head as you were talking was you know, what is the reason that we harp so much on this as, being in the mental health field, as being clinicians? I know my answer, but I want to know your answer on, why you think this is so important for a person.
I think this is what keeps us from burnout. If
Mm-hmm.
it keeps us from burnout, it's what keeps us from like just having mental breaks. I think all of these things are because we get to a point where we don't rest, we don't check in with ourselves, we're not creating those boundaries to allow ourselves to. We're way up here all the time because work stress, life stress, children, whatever that is, we're up here and we're not creating time for us to come back down, to go
Mm-hmm.
back up again, to come back down. We're just adding and adding and adding. And at some point, with no bring back down, we are going to break and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to be burnt out and we're going to be um mentally like I think you either go on mental autopilot or you have a mental breakdown. It's just one.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those are not great because when you're on autopilot, you have no feelings, you're not really living, you're just doing this thing set on autopilot to get things done. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're having a mental break, that's not good because it's like pure chaos. So
Right.
I think those are the importance. It creates one, creates a balance, two, makes ensures that we're the best that we can be. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that keeps us from the burnout and the breakdowns.
Right. And I think in addition to that, it's also teaching you to pay attention to yourself and your wants and your needs and connecting with yourself on another level of just rather than just existing and giving into your old patterns or personality type. Like it teaches you to just know you and what you need.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's important.
yeah. And I think I know for me, it's helpful to um check not just check in but just pay attention and stay in tuned with what I need, and that's something that I rely to my clients as well is like, hey, um you can only be the best you when you take care of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can only give your best efforts when you're taking care of yourself,
Mm,
right? And so paying attention to those things, and definitely for those that are busybodies like myself and you, like just it's even more important that you give yourself breaks. And one word that's been coming up a lot in sessions is pacing.
mm,
Um, in really learning time management, or just learning that when you do take on a lot of things, make sure that those things have a pace and a rhythm to them.
yeah.
um and a part of that doing that is self-care. Like
Mm,
if I'm going to do 5 things, I need to make sure that those 5 things are aligned with one another enough so that I'm not burning out, so that I'm not doing too much
yeah.
um at once. And those are all like just having that mentality in itself, and putting that into action is a form of taking care of yourself. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was telling A before we started, my therapist uses the sentence of taking care of yourself well.
Mm,
That's her definition and her terminology rather than using self-care. And I think it's just, I personally, it's stuck with me because I feel like it's intentional and true. It's not just self-care, it's taking care of yourself. That's what it is.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, no, that's good. And I agree. I think as a society, this is something that we need to put in place as a culture. It's something that we need to put in place, just the idea of
are you talking about grind culture like Aaliyah Billings brought up?
yeah. I think that's just a thing. I think we are in a time where we want everything and we want everything now, so we need to
Mm-hmm.
work, 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 work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a time to work, 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 and there's a time to sit down and breathe and take a minute. And I think that like you're only gonna keep getting to the point where you're hitting the top of your head on the ceiling, um,
Mm-hmm.
because you need or you want or you need, and you're not gonna like be able to enjoy. I don't want to say enjoy life to the fullest because that's kind of extreme, but you are going to miss out on some of the joys because we're focusing on things other than like it's good to focus on our things, our dreams, the
Mm-hmm.
things you want to buy, but it's also important that you take care of yourself because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're how long are you going to have these things for, before
Right.
you start feeling a certain way or you get fatigued and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then when you do get fatigued, how are you getting yourself back to the okay spot? When you do self care and you know how to kind of bring yourself back to an okay level, you're practicing for when times get really high and hard and you're ready to burn out. And when times get really low, you also know, okay, when I um, take a walk outside during my lunch breaks, it helps me feel productive. It helps me feel like I'm ready to conquer whatever else. It helps me
Mm-hmm.
feel at peace. So it doesn't only help when things are crazy and hectic, it also helps when things are very low.
Yep.
It's important.
Yeah, because you're maintaining a healthy pace, and you're putting things into your toolbox of thing like of coping mechanisms, or because self-care is a form of, a coping skill essentially. It's just an never ending one. For sure. And an ever evolving one, right? And
Yeah.
so just being able to have that a part of your lifestyle and the way that you just operate, it's honestly just giving you the time and the space to rejuvenate, because all of our batteries run low, and they run low for different reasons. And so being mindful of that is just really just plugging you up to the charger and letting your battery life last a little bit longer, or feel fully charged.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. That's good.
What was our third point? I'm like trying to think as I'm talking. I was like, what was the third point?
I think that was it.
Was it?
Our experiences.
Yeah.
Experiences, the definition.
And
And
what we don't do, or what self-care, what people don't do, right?
oh, I honestly don't remember. I should have like,
Girl, girl, this is what we
okay.
get because we recording late tonight, y'all.
All right. To end it, because I see we have about a little less than 5 minutes.
Mhm.
What's a self-care that you love or want to try?
That I love or that I want to try. Does sleeping count? No, I'm just kidding. Um, I know I do that one. No, that's anyways. Okay, so I'll give us like a spiritual one, and then I'll give just a general one. So what I have just done is I brought a notebook specifically for soap noting, which is a type of devotional note that you can do. Because I really have become fond of that style. And so I brought that, and I want to be more intentional at soap noting whatever scriptures that I'm focusing on, because I feel like when I really digest the word and it starts to click and I start to figure out ways, because one of the things in there is like application, right? And when I start figuring out ways on how to apply the word, it's really helpful for me, spiritually and emotionally and all that. Um, so that's one. And then just in general, check-ins, I think, are like ones that I love. And it's something genuine, like genuinely just as simple as like, how are you feeling? How am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
I'm constantly talking to myself and in my head. And so
Yeah.
not in a crazy way, but like you give me. You give me. I'm constantly in conversation or in thought. And so I love being able to just check in and say, yeah, by Friday, you need to have a do nothing time where you literally just hermit,
I
and
love
being able to do that. What about you?
I think for my spiritual, it's my prayer journal. Just being able to take that time to like write it out to God, word vomit on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like I put a lot more emotion, not emotions, but it's easier for me to express myself when writing than it is saying, because then I just like space out. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing it, I feel a lot more connected. And I also like going back and seeing the ways that God has answered my prayers or they have come to fruition or whatever that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing that. And I would say that the other one, um, what was I gonna say? Well, the one I want to try is the head massage one. I
Yeah,
just
you have to send me that, because I was like, I like my head being scratched and massaged and all that. So send that my way.
and I think the other one that I just like is just the idea. Emotional jars. So it's just
Hmm.
a empty jar, and I write all the emotions that I'm feeling for the day, which kind of helps me process the events of
Hmm.
the day, how I'm feeling about the day, any wrongdoing. So if I'm feeling really angry that day and I can write out, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling hurt, then I can get down to the bottom with it. And then I'm like, okay, it's really not that big of a deal. I just didn't eat breakfast this morning or whatever that looks like.
You're so funny. I just forgot to eat.
Yeah. Angry. Hanger is a thing.
It is, but don't let it consume you.
No. Eat your food so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's your fasting.
She cracks me up, y'all. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Seeds to Healing. For those of you that have stuck around, we're so grateful for you. For those of you that may just be catching this for the first time, you can definitely follow us on Instagram at Seeds to Healing. And you can watch us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I think we are on I think this is episode 14.
Yep.
Yeah. And we said we'd commit to 15 episodes, y'all. So you're hearing it now. Next episode is our last episode. So
So
we will be taking a hiatus after that. But yeah, so follow us, like our stuff, listen, comment, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for joining today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed recording it. We are going to be dropping episodes every other Monday, so tune in.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. If you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram at Seeds to Healing. And also go ahead and jump over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, Seeds to Healing, as well.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.